Amazing beautiful people, and welcome back to another reaction video. So we recently checked out History of the Entire World, I guess, by Bill Wurtz, and pretty much every comment on that video was telling me to check out the History of Japan video from the same creator. So a huge shout out to Bill Wurtz. This video is in the description, make sure you go check him out, and a huge shout out to Judd for sending me down this rabbit hole. As a YouTube channel that my #1 demographic is Japan, I feel like this is going to be really intriguing, and all of my Japanese viewers who are watching this, feel free to let me know more about the information in this video, correct some of the information, or elaborate on it as well. I'm really excited about this. This is gonna be really interesting. Japan has an entire video dedicated to it, and it's only 10 minutes long. So what is the history of Japan? Well, I guess let's find out. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're so close to 400,000 subscribers. Press that button. It's the holiday season. Show some love. Press the subscribe button. And let's jump into my first time ever reaction to the Bill Wurtz History of Japan. Well, I guess.
Japan is an island by the sea filled with volcanoes, and it's beautiful. In the year -1 billion, Japan might not have been here. In the year -40,000, it was here, and you could walk to it, and some people walked to it. Then it got warmer, some icebergs melted, it became an island, and now there's lots of trees, because it's warmer. So now there's people on the island. They're basically sort of hanging out in between the mountains, eating nuts off trees, and using the latest technology, like stones and bowls. Ding dong, it's the outside.
Japan always been like innovating. I mean, when everyone thinks of like the country of technology, they think of Japan. Even like, and it seems like that's just been the way forever. I wasn't 100% certain it was connected. In my head, I imagined most land was once connected, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I guess islands that are populated and like have a long history, it makes sense that they're connected, right?
Outside world, and they have technology from the future, like really good metal and crazy rice farms. Now
also, I just gotta say, for the way this guy does videos, you just there's no room to breathe. Like this guy, man. Wow.
Make a lot of rice really quickly. That means if you own the farm, you own a lot of food, which is something everybody needs to survive. So that makes you king. Rice farming and rice kingdoms spread across the land, all the way to here. The most important kingdoms were here, and here.
Oh.
But this one was the most important, ruled by a heavenly superperson, or emperor for short.
Oh.
Knock knock, get the door, it's religion. The new prince wants everyone to try this hot new religion from Biekt. Please try this religion, he said. No, said everybody. Try it, he said. No, said everybody again, quieter this time.
Okay, quiet.
And so the religion was put into place, and all the rules that came with it. Then the government was taken over by another clique, and they made some reforms, like making the government govern more, and making the government more like China's government, which is a government that governs more. Hi, China, they said. Hi, dipshit, said China. Can you call us something else other than dipshit, said Japan. Like what, said China. How about Sunrise Land, said Japan. And they stole China's alphabet and wrote a book about themselves. And then they made lots of poetry and art and another book about themselves. Then they stopped moving the capital every time the emperor died and kept it in one place for a while, right here. And they conquered the north finally. Get that squared away.
Wait, I'm confused. They said they conquered the north finally. What was on the north before? That wasn't explained. I don't understand. Then it's like, and they finally conquered the north. From who? Who was there? Who did they conquer it from? What was in the north? Are we just overlooking that? If like in history, if they're like, and they finally conquered this giant chunk of land, you'd be like, well, from who? I don't understand. Someone explain.
Hipster named Kukai is bored with modern Buddhism, visits China, and learns a better version, which is more spiritual. Comes back, reinvents the alphabet, and causes art and literature to be great for a long time.
That's good.
And the royal palace turned into such a dream world of art that they really didn't give a shit about running the country.
That's nice.
So if you live outside the palace, how are you supposed to protect your shit from criminals? Hire a samurai. Everyone started hiring samurai. Rich, important people hired samurai. Poor people who could not afford to hire samurai did not hire samurai. The samurai became organized and powerful, more powerful than the government. So they made their own military government here. They let the emperor still be emperor, but the shogun...
Oh, the shogun and shogunate was like actually a flipping like official military.
...is actually in control. Breaking news, the Mongols have invaded China.
We've invaded China,
said the Mongols.
Please respect us or else we might invade you as well.
Okay, said Japan. So the Mongols came over, ready for war, and died in a tornado. But they tried again, and had a nice time fighting with the Japanese, but then died in a tornado. Then the emperor overthrows the shogunate, then...
The Mongols tried to invade Japan! Is that the storyline of Ghost of Tsushima? I thought that was just fiction. That actually happened?
The shogunate overthrows him back and moves to Kyoto and makes a new shogunate. And the emperor can still dress like an emperor if he wants, that's fine. Now there's more art. Like painting with less colors, collaborative poetry, plays, monkey fun, tea parties, gardening, architecture, flowers. It's time for who's going to be the next shogun. Usually it's the shogun's kid, but the shogun doesn't have a kid. So he tries to get his brother to quit being a monk and be the next shogun. He says okay, but then the shogun has a kid. So now who's it going to be? Vote now on your phones. And everyone voted so hard that the palace caught on fire and burned down. The shogun actually didn't care. He was off somewhere doing poetry. And the whole country broke into pieces. Everyone is fighting with each other for local power, and it's anybody's game. Knock knock, it's Europe. No, they're not here to take over. They just want to sell some shit, like clocks.
I like the way it said yet. Classic Europe. Classic Europe. As a European, I must admit, we have a tendency in our history to knock on your door and not leave.
Guns. And Jesus. So that's cool, but everyone's still fighting each other for control, now with guns. And wouldn't it be nice to control the capital, which right now is puppets. With
I love the idea of Europe just being like, we see you guys fighting over there. Maybe you'd like to use these. And it's like,
Controlling them. This clan is ready to make a run for it, but first they have to trample this smaller clan, which is in the way. Surprise, the smaller clan wins, and the leader of that clan steals the idea of invading the capital and invades the capital. And it goes very well. He's about halfway through conquering Japan when someone who works for him kills him, and then someone else who works for him kills them, and that guy finishes conquering Japan.
Nice work.
And then he confiscated everybody's swords, and made some rules. And now I'm going to invade Korea, and then hopefully China, he said, and failed, and also died. But before he died, he told these 5 guys to take care of his 5-year-old son until he's old enough to be the next ruler of Japan. And the 5 guys said, yeah, right, it's not going to be this kid, it's going to be one of us, because we're grown-ups. And it's probably going to be this guy, who happens to be way more rich and powerful than the others. A lot of people support him, but a lot of people support not supporting him. They have a fight, and he wins, and starts a new government, right here. And he still lets the emperor dress like an emperor, and have very nice things. But don't get confused, this is the new government, and they are very strict. So strict they closed the country. No one can leave, and no one can come in. Except for the Dutch, if they want to buy and sell shit, but they have to do it right here.
Yeah, it makes sense, you know, the Dutch are very trustworthy. You look at the Dutch and you're like, I trust them, you know. It's the way they are. They're just very nice, very nice. They're like the Canadians of Europe. They're just very nice.
Now that the entire country was not at war with itself, the population increased a lot. Business increased, schools were built, roads were...
right, business increased. If the population is increasing, you know business is increasing. That's right.
Built. Everyone learned to read. Books were published. There was poetry, plays, sexy times, puppet shows, and Dutch studies. People started to study European science from books they bought from the Dutch. We're talking geography, skeleton...
Now, I'm going to ask a question that everyone's wondering. When... I'm not going to ask it, but you know what I want to ask.
Physics, chemistry, astronomy, and maybe even electricity. Over time, the economic and cultural prosperity began to gradually slow down. Knock knock. It's the United States. With huge boats.
Oh no, did they find oil on Japan?
With guns. Gunboats. Open the country. Stop having it be closed, said the United States. There's really nothing they could do, so they signed a contract that lets the United States, Britain, and Russia visit Japan anytime they want. Choshu and Satsuma hated this. That sucks, they said. This sucks. And with almost very little outside help, they overthrew the shogunate, and somehow...
Why was there a Union Jack then?
Sucks, they said. This sucks. And with almost very little outside help...
Did we do something? Did the British do something? Did we help Japan? It's kind of cool.
They overthrew the shogunate, and somehow made the emperor again, and moved him to Edo, which they renamed Eastern Capital. They made a new government, which was a lot more Western. They made a new constitution that was pretty Western, and a military that was pretty Western. And do you know what else is Western? That's right, it's conquering stuff. So what can we conquer? Korea. They conquer Korea, taking it from its previous owner, China, and then go a little bit further. And Russia rushes in out of nowhere and says, "Stop, no, you can't take that. We were going to build a railroad through here to try to get some warm water." And Russia builds their railroad, supervised by a shit ton of soldiers. And then when the railroad was done, they downgraded to a fuck ton. Did I say downgrade? I meant upgrade. And Japan says, "Can you maybe chill?" And Russia says, "How about maybe you chill?" Japan is kind of scared of Russia. You'll never guess who's also kind of scared of Russia. Great Britain. So Japan and Great Britain make an alliance together so they can be a little less scared of Russia.
I never knew this. I never knew that there was such a history of Japan and the UK. That's really cool. That's really cool. I never knew this existed. I like that.
Feeling confident, Japan goes to war against Russia, just for a moment, and then they both get tired and stop. It's time for World War I. The world is about to have a war, because it's the 1900s and weapons are getting crazy, and all these empires are excited to try them out on each other. Meanwhile, Japan has been enjoying conquering stuff and wants more. And the next thing on their list is this part of China and lots of tiny islands. All that stuff belongs to Germany, which just had war declared on it by Britain because Britain was friends with Belgium, which was being trespassed by Germany in order to get to France to kick France's ass because France is friends with Russia, who was getting ready to kick Austria's ass because Austria was getting ready to kick Serbia's ass because someone from Serbia shot the leader of Austria's ass. Or actually shot him in the head. And Britain is currently friends with Japan, so you know what that means. Duh, Japan should take the islands. Which they wanted to do anyway, so they called Britain on the telly to sort of let them know. And then they did it. And they also helped Britain a little.
Yeah, I remember the phone call. It's a famous phone call. It's a famous Japanese guy called up famous British guy and was like, "Yo, we're gonna take these islands. Is that cool with you?" And British guy was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Cool." I think that's historically accurate. Someone correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's word for word exactly went down like that.
Here and there with some errands and stuff. Now the war is over, and congratulations, Japan, you technically fought in the war, which means you get to sit at the negotiating table with the big dudes, where they decided who owns what. And yes, Japan gets to keep all that shit they stole from Germany. You also get to join the post-war mega alliance, the League of Nations, whose mission statement is to try not to take over the world. The Great Depression is bad, and Japan's economy is now crappy, but the military is doing just fine, and it invades Manchuria. In the League of Nations, it's like, no, don't do that. If you're in the League of Nations, you're not supposed to take over the world. And Japan said, how about I do anyway? And Japan invaded more and more and more and more of China, and was planning to invade the entire East.
You've got mail.
It's from Germany, the new leader of Germany. He has a cool mustache, and he's trying to take over the world and needs friends. This also got forwarded to Italy. They all decided to be friends because they had so much in common. It's time for World War II. Germany is
interesting, isn't it, when you think about the Japanese history, how like Japan was so closely aligned with the Allied forces, right? Like there was a lot of relationships, especially with the UK. And then literally just like that, it all just reversed, switched around. Japan just hit everybody with the Uno reverse card, and yeah, it's really when you learn this, that like the trajectory of Japan seems to be like good. You know, like in the sense that it's like allying with all like the nations who don't want to conquer. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense here, but then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it's like they get a phone call and they're like, let's change it up a little bit.
Is invading the neighbors. Then they invade the neighbors' neighbors. Then the neighbors' who happened to be Britain said, holy shit. And the United States started helping Britain because they are good friends, and started not helping Japan because they're friends and our friends are not friends. Plus they're planning on invading the entire ocean. The United States is also working on a large, very huge bomb, bigger than any other bomb, ever, just in case. But they still haven't joined the war. War looks bad on TV, and the United States is really starting to care about their image. But then Japan spits on them in Hawaii and challenges them to war. And they say yes. And then Germany, as a symbol of friendship, declares war on the United States also. So the United States goes to war in Europe, and they help the gang chase Germany back into Germany. And they also start chasing Japan back into Japan. And they haven't used the bomb yet and are curious to see if it works, so they drop it on Japan. They actually drop two.
I like the way that there's like no sound now for the dramatic effect. The entire video has like a comedic element to it almost, even though there's a lot of dark history in all of this. And we saw it in History of the World as well. Like there's a lot of dark history to our planet and to these societies and these countries. And I like how, despite this video being so heavily comedic, there's no comedy in this scene.
United States installed a new government, inspired by the United States government, with just the right ingredients for a post-war economic miracle. And Japan starts making TVs, VCRs, automobiles, and camcorders as fast as they can, and also better than everybody else. They get rich, and the economy goes wild, and then the miracle wears off. But everything's still pretty cool, I guess. Bye.
So, the question I was going to ask is what they've summarized in about, 0.5 seconds there at the end, which is when does the stuff that you know get created? It turns out it got created right there at the end. Oh my word. There's so much about Japan I had no idea about. The relationships with the UK, honestly, completely clueless to me. I never understood, and I never had any kind of knowledge that Japan had such close relationships with the UK. That is completely new to me. And it's knowledge I never understood. I also didn't realize how close Japan was with the Allied forces until World War II. Like, in my head, because of World War II and obviously the Axis alliance and that sort of stuff that happened, I presumed that Japan always had a previous history leading up to those events, right? But it seems like Japan was on the other side for a long time, and then leading up to World War II just kind of swapped, like within like a 10-year period. I don't know how long, but they were like World War I, this side, and then in the gap between World War I and World War II, whoop, this side. And it's just like, it's interesting. All that history was something I never understood. Obviously, the technology and the advancement seem to be something that Japan has always had, because even at the beginning of this video, they were talking about Japan using advanced tools and equipment and that sort of stuff, and advanced farming techniques. So it's interesting that that sort of culture has always been there as well in that country. Japan is such an interesting country. So much history for such a small island, and I guess you could say the same about the UK. I'm noticing a lot of correlations, which is very interesting, between Japan and the UK. There's a lot of similarities I'm now noticing, and honestly, you would never think there would be any, but there is. Both are like island nations with such like a massive, extensive history as well. It's really cool, and I didn't know there was like ties and relationships there. I really like that. I love the way this guy does videos. It's crazy and insane, but it's really enjoyable. The speed is nuts. I swear he doesn't breathe. He just never slows down, but it is a lot of fun. I do really enjoy his videos. If you guys are liking these random reactions we're doing at the moment, and you'd like to see any more like must-watch reactions, I know there's reactions. There's videos on YouTube that are considered like videos that every reaction channel has to react to. And although I'm strictly like music and anime and that sort of stuff, I do other stuff as well. And if you guys recommend stuff, it comes on this channel. This channel is directed by the viewers. So if you guys want other content, all you need to do is vote for it, and you get it. And you vote for it by just recommending it in the comment section. So if there's another video, like the history of the world and the history of Japan, that you guys would love me to react to, that there's a video you think I really need to see, put it in that comment section down below and let me know. Upvote the comments and let me know, and I'll happily react to it. Anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have yourself an amazing day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're watching this just before the new year, a massive happy new year to all of you as well. I hope it's the best freaking year ever. Don't forget to press that subscribe button. Press it right now. It's totally free. And as always, you will see me in the next video.